right, what's up, y'all? It's your boy B Forbes. I'm in the building. The Black Factor is on deck tonight, y'all. Oh man, it's gonna be a very interesting show, and I want you all to know that, of course, I have you all's favorite co-host on with me tonight. So you already know it's gonna be what they call lit. We about to turn up on the Black Factor tonight, y'all. So get ready. It's about to be on and popping. So let me start by saying welcome to the Black Factor family. Thank y'all for checking in. Don't forget, here, the truth doesn't care about your feelings or your opinion. This is where facts reside. So don't forget to like, subscribe, hit those notification buttons. Check us out. Don't forget to support Black media. Of course, you do realize it is Black History Month. My Also Smooth Radio family out there, thank you for checking in as well. Y'all, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Don't forget, y'all can download that Also Smooth Radio app on iTunes or Play Store in case you want to listen while we hanging out. You dig what I'm saying? Burma Johnson, how you doing this evening? Thank you for checking in. So look, y'all, it's Black History Month. Welcome to the Black Factor, where it is Black History Month. Every month, 365 days out the year. Now, let me give you a quick forewarning. Get your pens out. Get your paper out. Because on tonight's show, you may want to take a few notes, only because we're going to touch on a lot of subjects, and some of this stuff, y'all, because let me tell you, we got a lot to talk about, and if we go down these rabbit holes, if we go too far down these rabbit holes, it's gonna cause a problem. We don't want to do that, because we'll be here going down these rabbit holes, because it's easy for it to happen. So we're gonna make sure that you get what you need. Now, tonight's show, we're specifically talking about really voting, the civil process, civics, understanding why it's necessary to vote. Now, we're not here to tell nobody how to vote. What I'm here to do tonight specifically is to break down the necessity and the process, why, and I'm doing it right now mainly because there are no candidates. Well, we know that there are candidates out there, people that are throwing their hat in the ring, but what we want to do tonight is we're doing it ahead of this whole election season, even though we're going into election season right now. We're doing this right now because we want to talk about the real meat and potatoes, not who the candidates are, not why I'm not voting for this person, why I'm not voting for that person. I want to talk about the facts about voting and the things that are taking place. And I'm going to show you, since it is Black History Month, the history of voter suppression and why what's taking place right now today is actually taking place. So let me bring in my homegirl, my guest, my co-host, my folks, my peoples. Wait a minute. We gotta get this right here. Let me see.
We're gonna make some.
We gotta make sure you lit up over there. We gotta light you up.
I should have known it wasn't a.
Huh? Yeah. Wait a minute. We gotta get you.
Like yes.
Here,
yes.
let me bring you in, and then we're gonna make sure we got you right over there. We gotta get you right. We gotta make sure you on point.
Know, and I got on glasses, so it's like.
There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Say hello to the people.
Hi. Oh no, I was yawning.
All right, so let's go on and get started, y'all, because we got a whole lot to cover. Now, you got to pay attention to this, and let me just tell you, and I specifically wanted to make sure that I had a young person on with me tonight. Because
but why? Because I'm just going to say inflammatory things. Not that I'm trolling or anything, but okay, I'm going to just leave you alone.
Wait a minute.
Wait.
We don't, do we have audio? Yeah, we got your audio.
Okay.
No, you're not. I mean, you.
Is it working? Because I might have moved.
You're going to say things that fit the narrative for your generation.
I don't want anyone getting mad at me.
Well, you can't worry about people getting mad at you.
I'm just saying. I'm like, please. Because I'm going to say some stuff.
Hey, listen, I'm not going to censor you as long as you don't tell people not to vote. That's all I'm asking.
We can agree on that.
We agree on that.
We agree on that.
Okay.
We
Y'all, it's going to be fire tonight. I'm telling you now. we must vote, and we must understand why. But we're doing this, like I said, tonight, mainly because we want to make sure that people clearly understand what's actually taking place. Now, it's going to get deep. So, y'all, here we go. The question becomes, really, let's just start out. Why do we vote? Why do we vote? We vote because we are trying to, or we would like for the people who we send to Washington, who come to represent us collectively, should have our best interests and our ideas and ideals at heart when they legislate and make the laws that are going to govern over us. Unfortunately, we are now stuck with a lot of politicians who are more interested in partisan politics than they are in serving the will of the people, which is very dangerous. But the main thing is that we're going through right now, or what we're witnessing is a level of voter suppression unlike anything we've seen since the 1900s, the early 1900s, after Reconstruction. Now, interestingly enough, we actually have some interesting things, some stuff that's taking place that they're just getting bolder and bolder and more blatant about it. Let's keep in mind also that one party, the party who is constantly saying that voter suppression is, or they're trying to pretend like an election was stolen and they're jumping through all these hoops to change these laws. But now let's remember, this is the same group who actually lost the popular vote. 7 out of the 8 last elections. Now I want y'all to think about that. And this is also proof that it's something that I've been saying for a long time, that the people who are making the most noise, there really aren't that many of them. Which also plays into part of what we saw during Reconstruction. So a lot of people don't know this, but during Reconstruction, and we're going to get into this part, during Reconstruction, the black populace in the South was actually larger than the white populace. And the fact is, we held an awful lot of offices, and that became an issue in the South, which brought us to how we ended up with the end of Reconstruction. Now, moving forward, one of the problems, just to show you why it's necessary to vote, in Georgia, and I'm not just talking about presidential elections, I'm talking about midterms. This is where we're coming up on right now, the midterm elections. We have to be vigilant, because were it not for the same people who are carrying this lie of voter fraud, we wouldn't be having these problems talking about voter suppression. So y'all got to understand why the whole voter fraud thing was brought up and is being ridden the way that it is. It ain't really got nothing to do with Donald Trump. This is something that's been going on in America since its inception, when black people became free. See, voter fraud and voter suppression never became a thing until black people were put in a position to be able to vote. Now let's think about that. There is a level of racism in it within itself when you talk about trying to keep any group of people from voting. The only time they've ever kept anybody from voting was us. But they would like to try and make it seem like, oh yeah, voter fraud. Anytime they say voter fraud, just know it's like using the word urban. They might as well be saying black people.
To throw this in here.
Go ahead.
As we see, like in California, where they're letting people who are not even citizens vote. So it's like they're having less trouble.
What?
Yeah, and I think New York or New Jersey's proposing something too.
It's a proposal, but it's not a thing, right?
Well, in California, I do believe it's a thing.
No.
I'm pretty sure it's a thing. Like,
Really?
I'm going to look it up just to be sure.
Yeah.
Because someone was just complaining about this in a political room I was in. So they are making the pathway easier for people who are not even citizens, which, we had to get whole amendments
That's
in there.
That's illegal, though, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Well, what's stop it? I thought that was part of, you had to be an American citizen in order to have the right to vote in our election.
I don't. You know what? Let's look it up right now. Let's look at.
Yeah, please.
But I know New York was
Mary Amos,
proposing.
Scott.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but I do remember reading the articles about it.
That's crazy. Now, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that 100%.
Well, I'm not for or against it. All I'm saying is that just less barriers of entry there. Because, we had to get amendments, and there's a whole bunch of,
that's insane.
Klan.
Now, I'm not against that. Now, I'm against voter suppression, but, I'm not against... Oh, shit. I'm getting confused. I am against voter suppression.
Wait, you're not... You're not...
I'm against voter suppression.
Oh, you're against voter. I was like, wait, you're saying you're for?
Yeah, I'm against voter suppression, but I am not for people that are not United States citizens voting, and I got a problem with that.
Well, now this is the criticism that the right people were like, well, they're trying to keep, that is their criticism for all of their voting changes that they've made. That people who are dead or not citizens are being allowed to vote. And for the most part, that's not true. There's no there hasn't been any proof of voter fraud.
That whole rumor about dead people voting started out of Chicago.
Well, I wouldn't put it past Chicago. I'm not sure. I wouldn't put it. They can't be trusted,
Well, let's put it this way. That may have been a thing in the 70s or something like that. I think that's when that came up.
Oh yeah, or even the 1800s. I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah. Now, it was even said by the right and people within that are appointed and within that group that this was the most secure election in history, the last one that we had, and this is the one that they're squawking about. Hell, let's face it. Donald Trump jumped up and said there was voter fraud before the election ever took place. He said that there was cheating going on before anybody ever, that's a quintessential cheater right there. It just shows you how some people think. But in the state of Georgia, just to show you why it's so important, the Republican side, the GOP, the conservatives, have put laws on the books now in relation to voter suppression that and let's keep in mind they're closing polls. Now this is what they do. They gerrymander. If you don't know what gerrymandering is, we're going to talk about that. Then they close polls in areas where predominantly poor and black people live, so that there's only a couple of polls. Now that means when you go to the polls, you got to sit and wait in line for whoever knows how long. And I've been in the Georgia voting line when I lived there.
Well, they didn't give us too many problems in our neighborhood. We didn't have...
Well, that's because we lived in a predominantly white neighborhood.
Yeah, voting was pretty... And, the lines were still long, though. I think that's still the long... Well, I don't know, because here hasn't been better since I had to vote here.
But here's the kicker, though. Out of all of the laws that they came up with in regard to that, one that I still to this day do not understand. Well, I understand why they did it, and it's not a good one. But they say that if you're in line in Georgia and you're waiting to vote, a person is not allowed to walk up to you and hand you a bottle of water. Now, if anybody in here knows anything about Georgia heat, baby, let me tell you something. So in other words, when you come to vote, you better have your chair, your umbrella, your cooler, and anything else that you think you need to be online, because if you have to get out of line. You cannot be given. You will be criminally charged if your elderly mother is online waiting on her, sitting there on her walker or her cane, and needs something to drink while waiting to vote. If you give it to her, you will be criminally charged and sent to jail.
How often was this really happening?
What?
Was this is this a thing in Georgia? And I don't know, because I can only speak on the neighborhood we lived in. But were people consistently handing out water to the point that they felt the need to make this into a law or something?
They also stopped voting on Sundays. A lot of people would leave the church on a Sunday and go to vote. They're trying everything possible to stop all of those conveniences. They're trying to stop people from registering people to vote. The people have to they can't turn in ballots. They don't want to mail in ballots and a bunch of other stuff. They've done a lot to try and keep the vote suppressed as much as possible. And the necessity in that is that they have lost the popular vote 7 out of the last 8 elections.
No, wait. I just want to interrupt here. So I wanted to fact check and correct something. So apparently, this is why you have to fake news. So apparently, you have to. There has been a discussion about potentially letting people who are undocumented.
It'll never happen.
The politically correct, right? Potentially vote, and it was brought up in New York and San Jose, California, and I believe
it got shot
Los
down. I know it
Angeles.
got shot down.
Yeah, so like that isn't a thing. So of course they say like racist people were bringing this up, but I mean, I personally wouldn't put it past.
I don't see that happening, and it will go against the Constitution if.
Well, they give them driver's license. I believe with the right political framing, you could convince Americans to support it. You don't think so? Like,
not this one.
Not you, but
but
I think
here's
you could.
the thing, though, and this is where the problem comes in, because less and less people are familiar with civics. Less and less people are familiar with their Constitution. Shit, when we were in school, you had to be able to pass the Constitution test in order to graduate from grammar school. That's not even part of the curriculum anymore, which is insane to me. Now, you think about this. We got people who vote every election cycle on their feelings, on how they feel. So they don't like the way black people move, and they think that all black people are Democrats, and they want to go against that. What you mean,
majority of black voters are registered Democrat, which I think is politically suicidal, but so that is true.
But look at the alternative, though. If we went toward the Republican Party, which I'm not against conservative Republicans, the type of Republicans that I'm accustomed to seeing. And even then, we thought some of their ideas were radical, which we've adopted many of those ideas in the Democratic Party in recent years, which don't make our ideologies that different. But now we literally have lost the integrity and the ability for people to actually determine right from wrong and have some type of stand for something. They'll say anything now from both parties almost.
I mean, yeah, because at this point, which apparently there's been polling, and just in general, both parties are like really unpopular with majority of Americans. And I think because both of them are psychotic. Like when, I don't want to say psychotic, but when their representatives, I'm trying to keep it cute, but when their representatives get up there and they all say these like outlandish things, or they support these outlandish things, and it's like, this is not what we sent you to DC to do. Like, what are you doing?
And most people in these states are not holding them accountable for that.
And I don't think people know how to hold their politicians accountable. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the, how shall we say, more radical people are the ones that are a little more like boots on the ground. Like, they're going to call the representative, they're going to call their congressman, they're going to call their senator. And I feel like, especially, I have never once known anyone I've known personally, like, okay, I'm about to like spam the fax machine of the local representative or congressman's office, and I'm gonna make a call. And even myself, like, I've never made a call if there's a lot of stuff that I don't agree with, which I said I was gonna change this year. Like, I'm actually start
on
calling.
That note, for my audience and for you, there is a thing that you can download on your phone from Google, from the App Store. It's called 5 Calls app, and it links you. It links you directly to the people in your district that you can call directly to their offices right from your phone. Yeah,
because I think that's important.
Y'all need to look that up. 5 Calls app. You got a representative that ain't doing what they supposed to do. You hit that app, and it'll call them, and you can air your grievance or whatever it is you got to say about it.
And a lot of them are not doing what they're supposed to do. They are up, especially, I feel like the Negro ones are particularly dangerous because the community has this thing where it's like very happy to have representation, and like it never goes past that. Like, I'm personally beyond like the kumbaya, like these people go up here, they go to Congress and support these policies that are like dangerous and downright like disenfranchising the American black community specifically. They have us out here pimping us out to support like immigration matters and stuff like that. And it's like, that doesn't affect us. Like, unless you're talking about the different amendments that are protecting us, like, politically, it's not advantageous for us to like go to bat for those type of things. And it's like, it doesn't mean, we mean these folks any harm. It's just like, y'all are up here lumping folks stuff in with us that have nothing to do with us. Or they always like use the racist dog whistles, like, oh, Trump's gonna put you back in slavery if you don't vote for me. Or what did Massa Biden say? He said, if y'all don't vote for me, you're not black. Like, that kind of craziness. And it's just like, if we're going, we need to be politically consistent.
Well, Mitch McConnell said, last week that blacks vote as much as Americans do.
Yes. Yes,
If
he
that
did.
wasn't a dog whistle, I don't know what was.
I mean, but you, like, I would expect that from, like, a welfare recipient pilgrim who came over, like, to the Ellis Island port covered in lice like his ancestors. Or better yet, I don't know if they were the grifters, you know, who came over to steal land from the indigenous people, which is just as likely, you know, and then carried on to enslave folks. So, you know, of course he would have such a, like, a weird view, even though most of us are more American than him and his family. So right. I'm not surprised to see such clownery for Mitch. You know, it's very on brand for him.
Moscow
like
Mitch.
Yeah, he's very like Klan light. So, you know, and they create their own narratives that are not based in fact or reality. So
right. Well, he's riding that fence right now. He's trying to play. He's playing the game. He's become very good at it.
And like the people of Kentucky are starving as usual. They just had a tornado like. They clearly are the new Tornado Alley, like that area of the country. So they have bigger priorities than, you know, continuing to bother.
They keep sending them to Washington, though. I think that there should be term limits.
I think there's probably some voter suppression going on in Kentucky. I don't actually believe that them people keep sending him there. Really? I don't believe that. No, and I just remember, like, also in 2020, like, they couldn't get no money for unemployment. Like, it was bad. Like, they had them people hemmed up bad, and, you know, it's already a poor state. So, there's probably some voter suppression. I know we're talking about the black vote, but I'm pretty sure they're suppressing the poor white vote as well. Like, because, you know, they like to hide what they're really doing, and they use the black community as, like, the cover for it, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, it makes perfect sense.
We watched a documentary the other day, and they we'll just give everybody a quick thing. So we were watching a documentary about sterilization, and they claimed that it was about protecting black women's reproductive rights, but most of the sterilization was going on in states like Wisconsin and Minnesota and Oregon, and it was like black people have never lived there, and they certainly were not living there back in, like, when this documentary came out in, like, 1960. Like, they weren't there. So, but they used black women as the poster children to get these laws overturned.
Like they do a lot of people.
And I would ask for our audience to be mindful of this kind of things. Like, don't jump up, because you have it's like a lot of people that mix. Like, you have, like, white liberals who have, like, you know, and they're racist in their own way. Then you have people like the Mitch McConnells who have, like, you know, the old school, old flavor racism. And then and they are all, like, trying to force us to do their bidding, if you will, like, do their bidding or prove some political point agenda that they've got going on. So
now, you know, I want to bring this up. In Florida and Georgia both, there has been suggested ideas of being floated for election police, like a whole police department that specifically deals with elections, like sort of like, I guess, an election fraud committee or something.
I mean, unless they're like tech people, I don't know what they're gonna do, because, like, at this point it's not like we're dealing with paper ballots. Like, what are you about to go up here and do? Like, are they about to hire infosec people and cybersecurity to work the ballot offices?
I'm gonna say this right quick. You know, let's think about it this way now. The level of work being put in to suppress people's vote, the level of work that is the level of resources that are being used, the level of rhetoric that's being spread to suppress the vote and to keep people from voting. I don't want to hear. I am so tired of hearing, especially black people, say things like, "Our vote doesn't count. Why vote? It don't mean nothing," and this type of thing. If y'all think they going through all these changes for nothing, I got news for you. Baby. Going all the way back to Reconstruction, they have been working overtime to keep the black vote quiet. But before I go there, because we're going to get into this Reconstruction thing, what were you going to say?
I was like, they specifically have an axe to the grind when it comes to the black American vote.
Yes, they do.
They will literally let everyone else do whatever.
And really, the reason they have an axe to grind is because our vote holds that much weight. Our vote at one time held so much weight.
I have a statistic for you. But go. I want you to finish your statement. No. Finish what you were going to say. Held
so much weight at one time, they literally had to resort to violence to get the black people out of office.
All right.
What was your statistic?
So someone told me, now this probably needs some fact checking. I always encourage y'all to just go fact check anything we say.
Anything we say, go fact check.
Yeah, because I'm like, I could misremembered something. So I'm going to just put that disclaimer out there. But someone said that if 4% of the black vote were to change its allegiance, that the Democrats would never get elected again anyway.
Only 4%.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
And I think with the way things are, I think a lot of people are going to be switching political party, like regardless of.
I have heard rumors and murmurs of a third party situation coming to pass, because let me tell you something. Oh, in fact, George Bush this week put a lot of money behind Liz Cheney, and they're looking to find people.
An old school Republican.
Yeah, old school Republicans are starting to come out.
Well, they could get my vote because I know who's not.
You're right.
Not getting it.
I'm not gonna lie. At this point, my party affiliations are nil. I need a person with some damn sense in office.
I'm registering as a Republican just to troll. I want it to be known that I'm a black woman that will not. They have to work for my vote. I will not be giving it away. I would like some buttered biscuits, like that Maxine Waters and them are getting up there. I too would like some.
You stupid.
I want some stuff for my vote.
Okay, but now let me show you something too, though, on that Republican right, that far right. Michigan this week, 2 Republican candidates suggested that Michigan poll watchers bring guns and unplug voting machines if they suspect voter fraud.
We need mental health services.
Ryan Kelly, the gubernatorial candidate, and Mike Detmer, a Republican who is running for Senate. If you see something you don't like happening with the machines and you see something going on, unplug it from the wall, Kelly said. Detmer told the crowd to prepare to lock and load when you go vote.
Is it not like a terroristic threat?
Yes.
And it's giving terrorists
illegal. That's illegal.
Having guns at the.
They're openly saying basically that if we can't change the tide, we need to be prepared to lock and load. That was an actual statement by one of them.
This is going to be such a ghetto.
Now, this is no different than Trump basically telling the militia groups and all the right-wing wackos, stand down and stand by.
I guess
before they went and raided the Capitol.
Are these like alt-right people? Because I almost feel like we are now past like right and left.
Yes,
like
we are. We're far past it.
We have gone. We are in treacherous road. I don't know where we're at now.
But now federally, voter intimidation is illegal. Tampering with machines is illegal. But now let me show you something. This is part of that kind of stuff was covered in the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which, by the way, got shot down on Obama's watch.
Y'all's king.
What?
It's like in Black Panther. He's like, "Is this your king?" Like every time I hear something,
overturning the will of the people is not only insane; it's illegal. Right now, we are learning through this January 6th probe that Donald Trump had 2 separate plans to seize the machines, one of which would have been done by the Department of Homeland Security and the other by the National Guards, to seize the machines that they didn't like. Now, we are in uncharted water politically in this country. I know we've had some crazy history, and a lot of people don't know some of the stuff that's going on in history in regard to these elections, but this one, they're doing the most.
Yeah, we got some wild stuff happening.
These losers, they hate losing so much that they're prepared to resort to violence. It's crazy. He was trying to put an executive order out to seize all the voting machines, the ones that he had a problem with.
Now, at this point, what I never can understand, I mean, so why did it go through? Because someone blocked it, or he just didn't get a chance to? Well,
apparently the people in his camp, there's some sane individuals within his camp, that kept it from happening.
Okay, because I was like, now
you got to remember, now we got, like we said, we just talked about the guys in Michigan. Now you got Nikki Haley over there in South Carolina.
Now, okay.
Go ahead.
No, because I was like, I said some things off.
Her and people like her, they've begun the onslaught of racist hate in regard to this new Supreme Court nominees.
Isn't she Indian American?
I know she's not completely whatever she's portraying herself.
I believe she is
I think she is.
Like from India.
Yeah, India.
Now, I would just like to throw out, this is why the bi-POC farce that has been sold to us after the Black Lives Matter scammer protest, this is why I am against, it's like people like that. It's like, she's really like a white person, but she's not, and she like sneaks around doing weaselly things, working on behalf of, the WASP agenda.
Well, she suggested that Biden, by making the suggestion that he wanted to put a black woman on the Supreme Court, which has never been done, by the way, that somehow they were unqualified. Now, she said on Twitter, it would be nice if President Biden chose a Supreme Court nominee who was best qualified without race or gender litmus tests. She said, that's what I did when I picked Tim Scott as Senator of South Carolina. Now, isn't it interesting?
Isn't Tim Scott like a bum?
Tim Scott is...
Like, I feel like... I don't know. You know what? I'm going to be quiet.
I want to call him, but I'm not going to publicly. This is the like same guy. Yeah, this is the same guy who would not suggest the freedom of a wrongfully accused, convicted individual in his state. He refused to do anything on that behalf. Now, she says that this is what she did when she picked Tim Scott. The irony of it all. Like, really? Why? Well, if it wasn't a thing, then why would you even mention his name in the same sentence, same paragraph,
like him?
While talking about the litmus test being black or white? See, that just shows you right there. That's disingenuous and it's a lie. So...
yeah, I mean, she's been a psych.
Now, Tim Scott is the same one who said that woke supremacy is like white supremacy. So, in other words, if you black,
woke supremacy is white supremacy, because woke supremacy has been taken over by their...
It's been co-opted, like they do everything.
It's been taken over by probably his disgruntled blue-haired liberal cousins who really want to stick it to him. Like, this is beef between white people, like, and we somehow are getting, as usual...
Hey. I'm going to suspend you for 2 weeks. Better be careful. They suspended Whoopi for saying that.
Oh, Lord. Saying that. You're going to get us suspended. You're going to get the YouTube algorithm. We're going to get taken
They just got on Whoopi for saying that now, saying something very similar now. Or maybe suspend you for 2 weeks. You better watch out.
I'm going to stay on code. I'm going to just...
apparently, so with Stephen Breyer, who was the retiring Supreme Court justice, there are several nominees that Joe Biden has on his short list on the radar to appoint. And fortunately, thankfully, we don't have to. We are in the position. The Congress is in position to appoint to approve any one of these ladies. Moving forward without the help of the partisan Republican side. I mean, it's gotten to the point now. This is what I don't like. I don't like watching our political system literally be divided down political lines. It's just like, how do you accept everything that one group says, or reject everything that another group says? Where are the free thinking individuals that we sent to Washington to look out for our best interests?
There are none.
There are none, exactly.
And if they were doing something, they probably going to get them up out
So we have Melissa Murray, who's 46, Anita Earl, 61, Ketanji Brown Jackson, 51, Leandra Kruger, 45, J. Michelle Childs, 55, Wilhelmina Wright, 58. Those are the candidates. And I don't need to show any pictures because they're all black women.
Now, are they... I do believe somebody's name that was thrown in there was not actually a black woman. She was of biracial, non-American descent, really? And which I mean...
Yeah, we know you genealogy folks. Y'all are very specific.
Yeah, I mean, yes, this is why I had a problem with everyone like, Kamala, our sister girl. Like, and I'm just like, okay, guys, like, just because she went to Howard does not make her one of us. But I think she's fine. Like, I have a problem with her, but I just think the lineage distinction is important.
Well, I don't disagree with that. Well, Ted Cruz said that he feels appointing a black woman to the Supreme Court is offensive. Now, let's remember, out of 115 Supreme Court justices throughout the history of the United States, 108 of them have been white males. That means 7 different people that were not white men are the only ones that have been on the Supreme Court other than here.
So we have what,
Clarence Thomas, and then
Ginsburg.
Sotomayor, Ginsburg.
So that's 3.
I mean, I'm sorry, Sotomayor. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a woman.
There's a couple more.
And I'm like, who are the other?
There been
the other 4 that we've got.
Right, but
I guess that one they have now.
They just appointed.
Yeah, so that's 5. So there's 2 more that I don't know. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so now but this is the type of racist rhetoric that is continuing to grace our political system.
Also, I just want to throw this out here. Nikki Haley is indeed of Punjabi descent.
The nerve. Well, that makes sense though. Now that
she's born to immigrant parents.
But it makes sense though. Here's why. If you know anything about Indian culture and you understand that they operate in a caste system, they're very racist toward and bigoted toward their own people that are of a lower economic standing, and if they don't have a certain name. So
yes,
it makes sense that she would have that attitude toward those whom she feels is beneath her.
She should tend to her people bringing the caste system to Silicon Valley and about to cause a whole bunch of federal lawsuits, bringing their nonsense over here. Uh-oh. So that's what she should focus on instead of being in other folks' business.
Ain't that something?
Instead of promoting racism and Klan nonsense.
Well, they're so busy right now in the process of making cheating okay. While they say they're not, they're gaslighting us so bad right now. The gaslight is lit. I mean, it's crazy. It's
political theater all around. Like it's just a bunch of bunch of weird
that
stuff going on. Sure.
But what about these bomb threats at HBCUs?
Well, there's not really much information on them yet, so it's kind of like. It's just like one of those things up in the air. It's like, are they gonna? I assume they're gonna be able to catch the person in this day and age. Like, it's kind of, unless you're a hacker, you're not really about to. And even then, we know the feds have better hackers. So,
that part.
I'm not sure if they're gonna. I guess we have to wait and see who they investigate.
So check this out. 49 states have legislations pending on changing their voter rights laws. Okay. Now, going back to the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which protected against all of these things because they had to do a thing that was pre-qualified stuff that they had to check with before they could make any of these changes. Now, one of the number one changes that is allowing for voter suppression is gerrymandering. If you don't know what gerrymandering is, let me explain it to you this way. Let's take a square. Put a square. If you got a piece of paper in front of you and a pen, just draw a square. Then draw another square around that square. And a much bigger one. And if you take your pen and you draw a line like a plus through the middle of that square, both squares on both sides, I want you to imagine that the square that you have in the middle, the one big square, is the black neighborhood. Then you draw the bigger square on the outside. And when you draw the line through, suddenly the black neighborhood is divided into 4. And you have the larger white square on the outside. So the larger square becomes 4 sections. Inside each one of those sections, there are predominantly white people that absorb the black quarter of that one square. And you do that in enough places. What happens is, the people who vote in down particular lines are now divided, and their vote basically gets absorbed into those other sections, and it becomes nullified. It becomes nothing. It becomes moot because the predominant vote in those areas now becomes white, and the black vote has been divided. That's gerrymandering. That was protected in the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which got shot down under Obama's watch, under the guise that there was no longer racism to the degree that it once was. And I'm paraphrasing here, y'all. I want you to be able to look this stuff up. That's why I said at the beginning of the show, you got to have a pen and paper, write some of this stuff down if you really want to know the truth about it, because we can't go down every rabbit hole because there's too many of them. But they basically were protected. These neighborhoods and these areas, these maps were protected, and it had to go through federal hoops in order for these things to get changed. Now that those things are shot down because of the lawsuit brought, now that's why you're seeing all of the different voter suppression tactics taking place now today. All of the laws being changed today. All of the polls being closed today. That's the reason why all of this is happening. And I hate to keep saying it, but that all came down under Obama's watch.
And
people got complacent. They got comfortable.
Didn't he, isn't this when he had like the, I don't know, because I don't remember, but like when the Congress and Senate were all blue too, or something like this, like, remember, like, basically the Democrats had like held everything. Was this during that time, or was this like when it switched back? Oh no, it switched back. You know, because you got to remember, they did it under his second term, which was predominantly Republican control. Which is also interesting because it's like now we've seen how Trump and Biden just make executive orders whenever they roll out a bid and they feel like it. So he kind of could have executive ordered some protections, or or did some backroom wheeling and dealing. I don't understand. Well, you got to remember now, George Bush was the executive order king. Bush too. When Obama did anything about executive orders, they made a huge deal about it. Like he's unilaterally doing whatever he wants and blah, 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 blah. It was a big deal. But Trump, he took it to a whole nother level. He raised the bar. He went nuts. This is that political theater that I feel like both parties do to like distract people, because it's like Bush definitely was the one to like unilaterally just start doing what I had a shout out to my really great history professor that taught us this. Don't remember his name though. Actually, I take it back. It was like Professor Ignite. So he like explained like these unilateral things, and he did say, because this was a long time ago, he was like, there will be consequences for this. And then that was about 6 years before Obama was still in office when that happened. And then so we get to the Trump years, and like where he's just like executive order this, executive order that, and it was like when everybody was so busy like piddling around back then, with the Patriot Act and all that kind of craziness. Right. And it's like now we've opened the can of worms, and of course Joe Biden's doing it as well. But it's like who could it be in the future? Like if we get another crazy person in office. Actually, that crazy has spread. I mean, if you think about it, his crazy has rubbed off on so many people who are so happy to be crazy. I mean, look at it. We got states now. We got school districts banning books. Well, they've always done that, though. No. They have. Because they were banning books when I was, like, in school. There was, like, literally, they would have, like, banned book week, like, where you could, like, just, they would bring awareness to these books that, so I guess did they literally, like, cut them out, or did they just say this is not preferred reading material? I don't think they were carried at the school. Like, I just remember this being an issue before, like, when I was, like, in high school. And so maybe middle school. So we let them off the hook. It depends on your school district, because I believe like To Kill a Mockingbird was banned at one point, and then they had to bring it back. Like there's some other books now. Because of course now it's been about 10 years since I've been out of high school, so like I don't remember. But it's a point of contention, and especially like poorer school districts, I think they have like problems with this because they already don't have as many books. At our school, it's provocative to read them, so they would let us, but they were definitely banned at some point. I think like. I have to look that up. Like this isn't the first iteration of book ban, is what I'm saying. Like now, what books they're banning? Do you know like which ones are getting banned right now? The one that they recently banned, I can't remember the name of it. It was about the Holocaust. Oh and which is such a weird thing. So that's like basic high school history, like school history, but see, world history. This all plays into what's happening right now with this shift in this political scenery, because now this new term, critical race theory, not new term, I take that back, it's been around a long time, they just taught it in law in college, but critical race theory is them being able to pretend that particular things did not take place historically, and they don't want them taught in schools because they want to preserve the feelings of these white children. But this is the thing with that, like, so they say. That whole critical race thing, it gives me, I'm going to try to explain this the best I can. It gives me, like, the smoke and mirrors of the Black Lives Matter movement. And by that, I mean, like, these things were never taught in the first place. So what are you banning? How do you ban something that is not being introduced to the curriculum?
Because it's not. It
That's
never
not
was
on the
in
curriculum.
Right. Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Something we were just looking up, like all the Reconstruction people, like, we didn't learn about that in high school. And it's like, I was in high school in like the early 2000s, like, you know, almost 2010, 2011. So it's like, y'all, like, just basic history, like, just is not taught as it is. So it's like,
and basic history is specifically basic history that includes the oppression of black people.
And so I have a problem. See, this is one of those things, like, you see black voters getting up in arms, like, arguing about critical race theory, like, discussing it, and it's not a real thing. It's like political theater. This is not a real issue. Because the curriculum is not being actually changed on the local level.
Right.
No proposals being made by any school district.
But I think they're trying to avoid that. Because the potential is...
They wasn't about to do... I ain't heard... Now, I'm not a parent, but I haven't heard... And I kind of keep my eyes on all the states we've lived in and, like, kind of what goes on there. Or someone will tell me, because I still have friends and they do have kids. They will let me know what's going on. I haven't heard any proposals to these school district changes, which would have been a better conversation. So the fact that these people are coming in to scream about critical race theory to rile up their semi-idiotic fan base, like... You know, I'm trying to be nice. You know, I love calling people low IQ. Like, it's nothing to me. But I'm trying to not be rude today. But you see what I'm saying? Like, it's not a real thing. Like,
well, I don't disagree with that. That's definitely an interesting perspective, because the truth of the matter is this stuff was never being taught in the K through 12 system in the first place.
And they teach it in college, but it's elective classes. Like, you can pick to go to the classes. I mean, I know most of this fan base probably doesn't finish college, you know, if they ever step into the school to begin with. So, you know, it doesn't concern them. Like, you don't get a true U.S. education until you get to college. It's really not for the working class people. If we're going to be honest, it's really a class problem. Because, like, you're not ever supposed to have a true and real understanding of the history and how it all, like...
how it played out.
The cogs, like, so it's like we're dealing with people. It's not a thing. That's my final take. Like, it's not a thing. Like,
and I think that's probably that's also probably one of those things where, like, just as an example, we have when we start talking about Reconstruction, the funny thing is, during the Civil War, 750,000 white men. Now that's not everybody, just 750,000 white men fought in a war that was on the other side to preserve an institution that they couldn't even participate in. These people were there to defend a way of life that would have continued to support the wealthy slaveholders. You broke as hell. You're putting your life on the line so that you can maintain a life of your continued poverty while they eat off of you.
Let me
they don't want to talk about that part.
Interject. These people are from the serf class of Europe. They are used to serving lords, feudal lords, and kings who tell them how to die and when to die. So I see it's very on brand for them to continue to live out their life cycle that they were bred for.
Very interesting. Now, during Reconstruction, there were lots of black people in office, elected by what? Black people. In the South, y'all, the black population overtook the white population.
It's always outnumbered.
Yeah. So when freedom came during the Emancipation Proclamation, 1865, or 1863, 65 for those who didn't know any better in Texas, the Juneteenth crowd. Black folks started running for offices and were getting elected. And Tatum, I believe what was the statistic you told me?
It was anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 people were elected in that 10-year. And I don't even know if it was 10 years. So it was like 1,500 to 2,000 people like end up holding office, formerly enslaved, or they could have also been free black, either or, you know, formerly free,
now
formerly enslaved.
Y'all, I need you to understand that black people during that time, and we're talking about right after slavery, understood the value in being a part of the legislative system, being a part of the system that created and maintained the laws that allowed them to have their freedom and move about in the world. But now let me show you something. There was an election. Because now keep in mind, if things had remained the way they were, do understand that black people would be in complete control of the South right now today. But in 1877, Reconstruction ended because there was a compromise, if you will. There was one of these janky elections. One of these elections very much like the one with Al Gore and George Bush. Very much like the election of Donald Trump. Lack of participation. People who did not, I ain't gonna vote, I'm not gonna vote. So there became some questionable votes. And none other than, guess where? Florida, of all places. The same place we always have.
You know,
a bunch of shenanigans coming out of it.
They need to cut Florida off.
Right. They need to cut Florida off the end of the map.
Like that Bugs Bunny.
Float over there. Yeah, right. That was a good one. That Bugs Bunny cartoon where he got up there and he sawed Florida off. Right. So there was an issue with the votes. So, and I need my glasses. I can't even see.
There's only like 50 pair around here.
And they're usually all around.
Well, do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
What is it?
You handle this. You take care of that part. You got to flip through it. Anyway, there was a point where, I can't remember what's the name. Of the people that ran? There was two people that ran. Okay, for office. Anyway, one of them.
Hayes.
Yes.
And
the Hayes Compromise.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was there were some questions about some voting. So
the Compromise of 1877.
The Compromise of 1877. So the people went and they sat down and they decided. They said, okay, look, what were then Democrats, who are your Republicans now, same ideology, the same ones who were trying to protect. Yes,
I don't even know.
The same ones who were trying to protect slavery. The same ones who would love to see slavery come back into play.
The Democrats?
They were then Democrats.
Okay.
Yes. I know it's kind of hard to separate the two now.
I don't know. All right.
Made a deal with the Republicans and said, we will let your candidate be president under one condition. If you remove the troops, because now you got to remember, there were Union troops, federal troops, all in the South, protecting the rights of freed black people. That was part of Reconstruction. But the agreement was, okay, look, if we let your man go ahead and hold office, we need y'all to get all these troops up out of here and let us, get back to doing what we do. Mm-hmm. And they agreed to it. So when they ran the troops out of there, this was the birth of the Jim Crow era, the Black Code era. This was the birth of voter suppression. Because now all of those people who had been duly elected, all of those some 2,000 people who had been put into office legally through the vote, the will of the people they represented, literally were kicked out of office. Some were murdered. I did some stories a while back where I talked about some of the stuff that went on in South Carolina. They literally came in and damn near massacred the whole town. Got rid of everybody that was elected up there and appointed all white people. This has happened throughout the South.
Law and order.
Yes, law and order. And guess what? It was all legal. That's the part that people need to wrap their mind around. The things that were done were legal. They were legal because the powers that be made them legal. And the powers that be were put into place because of the inactivity, the lack of involvement of the rest of us. If you don't get in there and do your part,
Oh, go ahead.
If we don't do our part in the vote itself, we leave room for way too much stuff. We leave room for other people to make decisions for us. We leave room for Supreme Court justices to be picked by people who have the same ideology that would rather damn near see you in chains than do the right thing, because that's what they've been told to do. And guess what? When these judges are put into these places because people didn't vote for the right president, that make decisions that are going to affect your life, and a lot of people think, oh, it's not going to affect me. Yes, it will affect you. Which is why we have to choose people to put into office, not by color, but by ideology and by their ability and their integrity. When we stop doing that, we're running into problems. We're running into problems right now. We have so many unscrupulous people that have been elected into offices, and it makes you wonder what the rest of the world is thinking. What is on their mind?
Well,
Go
they
ahead.
can't think nothing because their countries are far worse off than this one.
Well, when I say what I really should have said in America, because I'm not even talking about the people in the rest of the world.
Okay, yeah, because I'm like, no one else can judge these elections because there's all type of mess going on in there.
But look at the hypocrisy of America, though. We are constantly, over the last, I don't know how many decades, we've been attempting to spread democracy, so we say, into these other foreign lands, while at the same time we have people over here that are second guessing and undermining our own democracy. How do you stand up and be the beacon for democracy in other parts of the world when you can't even keep your stuff together?
I think that, which I do love, like China and Russia and everyone has made fun of America recently.
Oh,
like,
I know, they
with these
clown
kind of
it.
things
They clown it.
because when all that mess was going on, like with the protests, they were like,
but
you
we
can't
let one person undermine an entire system that's been in place for over 200 years.
I think that is there were a lot of things that happened before
it
Trump
ain't even all his fault
that made him possible. Like, when they let Bush unilaterally go to war, you have things like that, and it set up a precedence a long time ago. And like, when you don't stop something, which I was a child, it's not millennial and Zoomers' jobs. Like, when people were so busy, like, rah, we're gonna get the Muslims. Like, they were focused on that instead of, and there were some people who were like, hey, I don't think we should, they spoke out against these kinds of things, and they voted against the wars and all that.
And then what made it even worse was the fact that it was all a lie of why we went and did what we did.
But you see why I say, like, getting, as the American people, like, we can't afford to get up in arms. Like, I feel like especially the black community, because we know either way it goes, like, we have to kind of stay the middle. Like, there can be no falling in love with ideology and playing the dumb role, because usually it's something else going on there. It's like a smoke screen. Yeah. Like, there's a smoke screen to manipulate people emotionally and mentally into doing whatever these people want. And that's for either party, because we can go down the list, like, about all the different things they've done.
Well, now, I'm glad you said that, because tying it all up, here's what happened. We somehow, between the end of Reconstruction and today, have been conditioned to believe that our vote doesn't count. We have been suppressed and violently, on many occasions, held back from voting. It has been so indoctrinated into our systems and our DNA and to our social standing that we now believe that there somehow is something wrong with voting. And the rest of the ones who have that attitude, the ones that are left, like myself, who say, go vote, they're trying to intimidate now. They're trying to make laws to keep me and people like me from being able to vote. This is no different than the late 1800s and the early 1900s. We are literally re-witnessing or witnessing what we hadn't seen in our lifetime. They're doing everything in their power to keep people who they feel are beneath them from casting their God-given right to vote by the Constitution in America. Now, although the Constitution, I've said this before, was not written with black people in mind, that was not a thing when they wrote that, because we were actually still enslaved. In fact, many of the framers of the Constitution were slaveholders at the time. But the fact is this: we are now recognized in this country as human beings. We are very talented. I'm sorry?
I said we're no longer 3/5.
We're no longer 3/5 of a man. And we are entitled to our right to vote. We are entitled to those things, and they know this. So with that said, they have to find a way. And see, we're not easily intimidated like we once were. Used to be, during those times, you couldn't look a white man in the eyes. You couldn't talk, a certain way to a white man. You couldn't do things. God forbid, think about putting your hands on him. Well, now things are a little different. So they have to find other ways to execute their will against us. And so it is becoming more and more difficult. They feel that their very existence is now on the table. But we should be the ones who feel that our very existence is what's on the table and what's at stake. And if we don't wake up, think collectively, vote effectively, we are in trouble. We're already in trouble.
We've been in trouble,
And the bottom line is, the midterm elections are upon us. Find out who your candidates are. Find out what their platforms are. Find the person that is going to operate in your best interest, not the guy with the nicest suit and the person who you think is cool. This ain't about your feelings. This is about the future. If you got kids or grandkids or people that you want to see continue to live in America, in this country, any semblance of freedom, of financial prosperity, you better vote. And you better vote smart. You better understand why you're voting, what you're voting for, who you're voting for, and if they stand for something, if they have any receipts. These people out here now are doing and saying anything they want. You might as well be electing your next door neighbor that you hate. That's got a dog that barks all night and he blames you for it.
Would probably be a better candidate than most of the people in political office.
Yeah, because man, we got some real clowns out there. I mean, look at the amount of money. How is it that you go to Congress or the Senate and you come away a wealthy person? How does
Nancy
that work?
Pelosi worth what'd you worth? $250 million?
How does that work? How do you go to Washington and come back rich when your constituents are broke trying to figure out how to keep groceries on the table, especially right now with inflation, gas prices going back up, all the other stuff that's going on, but you come back a millionaire? I'm sorry. Somebody help me with that one.
Because they're getting pimped out. They're paid for. They're the bottom.
What was the baseball player's name that said we got the best Congress money can buy? That's true. You got all of the different lobbyists and these people spreading money around Washington, and these people are getting fat pockets. There need to be term limits on all offices, just like the president. These senators and these congressmen, they don't need to be there every term. We need fresh blood. We need people with some sense and people that are holding one another accountable and not just allowing any old thing to take place. If that happened, we would stop all of this. I remember when there was only a certain amount of money that could be contributed to a campaign. Now we got all this dark money, all this money being funneled into these campaigns. It's insane. Supreme Court did that. How did the Supreme Court do that? Oh, that was under Bush's watch. See? Because not voting. When these people get an opportunity to pick a Supreme Court justice, it changes your life. Whether you believe it or not, it does.
Well, we're probably going to have some type of political reckoning here. I guess, everyone enjoy 2022 because it's going to start getting hectic come the fall.
I believe that.
Because this next election is going to be it's going to be a mess. They don't have Trump to if he actually runs again, okay, fine. Then they'll have their leverage to not
He'd
Trump
be lucky if he ain't in jail by that time.
He's probably not going to jail, but I'm gonna just say that
he may not go to jail, but I mean, let me put it this way: the things that are coming out about this January 6th situation are, in any other president in history, would have already been in handcuffs, literally.
I mean, I don't know what they keep bringing it for because it's do y'all's job.
Yeah,
do your job. I don't want to hear about Trump, something his email said in 2016. I don't care. I think a lot of people like that. We don't care anymore. There's nothing else to discuss about Trump. Y'all are going to send him to jail or you're not. He's no longer the president. We have a lame duck president, and I'm pretty sure a vice president that they are locking in the basement. So at this point, what are y'all doing? Yeah. And it's unlikely that they're going to be able to win again. If the Republicans can, or a third party can get a strong candidate to get, like, you know, an old school sensible Republican, because like someone like McCain or Romney now would be like a dream.
You know, and that the irony in that is, I promise you, I thought to myself the other day, I was like, man, did I ever think I would miss a McCain or a Romney? Right now, I literally would take either one of them over what we have.
Yeah,
that's insane. That's crazy.
I think on both sides you have a bunch of people, like, they don't really like America. They are working to breed the downfall of it, and like in both parties, like, they're not doing what's in the best interest of the people.
But what's stupid about that? What do they think they're going to end up? It's like, are you not thinking long term? Like,
they probably
if this thing comes down,
go to China or Russia or Europe somewhere.
Everybody ain't getting up out of here. And
no,
and them countries going to treat us the same way.
We're not getting out, but they can get out. They've got the money from their butter biscuits and sponsors who have, you know, have been funding their lifestyle. Yeah. They can get citizenship. It'll be us here fighting over hot dogs and Twinkies, you know, in the Walmart, fighting for our lives.
Shit, they gonna take the Walmart down first. That ain't gonna be no hot dogs and Twinkies left.
Well,
Matter of fact, I don't think there's no hot dogs and Twinkies in the Walmart right now. If you want to know the truth. Well, right now, with these shelves being as empty as they are,
I don't know what Bear Shelf Biden plans on doing. I don't know when he's gonna get himself together. Like, he's got to get it together. I mean, because at this point, I'm not politically loyal to anybody. I think I see a bunch of stuff that I don't agree with on all sides. So I'm just here to drag everyone. You know, I'm here to spread discord and menace. You know.
Well, you do a great job.
These people suck. Like, they suck. Like, I'm tired of pretending like they're, you know, everybody like, oh, Maxine Waters. There was literally, like, bubonic plague in the streets of LA. Like, is that not her district? Like, on her watch, since she's been, how long has she been in office? Since you were, like, in high school?
Yeah, she's been there a while.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm grown. Like, I'm out of, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's been in there. I do believe the homeless population in her city is mostly, you know, American black men. The historically black neighborhoods of California have been taken over by illegal immigrants. You know, the black Californians basically don't exist anymore. Like, they've been ran out and priced out of their city and state. All of this happened under her watch. Her and Nancy Pelosi, because Nancy clapped at Trump one time like he's a toddler. Like, we're supposed to cheer these people on. Like, get this out of here. Like, I'm sick of this. Like, I'm sick of them. Like, they're a bunch of, this basically, like, we have a bunch of, like, predatory elders who are just out here pimping all of us out and sucking us dry and selling us down the river and, like, selling America off. Like, and I have to live here. I don't plan on leaving, you know.
Well, I can't argue with none of that, actually. As much as I might want to, I just, no lies detected.
And Maxine isn't the only one. But, you know, and my problem, especially, like, when it comes, like, when we have the in-house debates, is, like, you know, I'm always expected to defend the crazy, like, and useless black politicians because they haven't done anything. Like, that chick... What?
I'm sorry, I couldn't control myself.
Well, come over here. Why you
always
do
this? You
this?
keep saying the black politicians. The white politicians is just as
But we know that already. We already know the white politicians are jacked up.
We dragged Ted Cruz.
We ain't discriminating. Everybody getting dragged.
No, but I'm just saying, because how you just jumped up to defend them, even though they're trifling and haven't done anything, that's what the black community does. Like, they have done nothing. They are useless. With the first chance they get, they go talk about black and brown solidarity and asking Negroes to go march for illegal immigration. Meanwhile, they sit and twiddle their thumbs when voter rights are getting overturned, or these people, crazy, nutty, right-wing people are like, let's gerrymander red lines some more like this is the 1960s. What are y'all doing? What do we elect them for? What are y'all there? Of all the people, especially you have the elders like Clyburn and Maxine Waters, been in office since grandma was in her 20s, and they've been in office since the end of the civil rights movement, and who better to fight for voting rights? It's not funny.
Like, in the politics, then we need more young people in the politics.
Yeah, but see, like, I don't want to do politics because I'm problematic across the board. Like, I'm gonna get up there and light everybody up, but I will use my marketing and internet skills to help anybody. Any young person that wants to take it to the next level, like, let's start a viral campaign. Let's take these people out. But see, you really can't even do that because they all work in sync. I was literally in a space on Twitter and they were taught, this dude is working in DC. He's like, listen, things get real sketchy. Like, things get sketchy in DC. He was like, you know, threatening whistleblowers. Like, just, you know, things could get violent. Like, it could get weird because these people don't want to give up their power. And, you know, and the loss of their power comes in people realizing they are useless. And it has to start on a local level.
I can speak for the South Side of Chicago. I can't figure out what's going on.
What are the aldermen doing? I'm not, because I mean, you know, the South Side of Chicago is gonna look like Tijuana soon, and I'm not trying to be funny, like, but it's like, what were the black aldermen doing? Like, the black population is leaving. They're leaving.
Yes, people are leaving Chicago in droves.
And the Latino people everyone's asking for representation, which they deserve. But it's like the black folks, y'all been in office for so long. Like, why still all these shootings? You've got no funds for after school programs, like no encouragement. Well, I did see some signs they were encouraging like black fathers and supporting them, which they need to do, because you can't have a community where the men are poor and disenfranchised, don't know how to be fathers. It's kids everywhere. Communities are made up of families. When you have a black American community who is relying on baby mama, Blackistan nonsense, like, you can't have a community, and these people aren't going to vote. They won't even take care of their own kids. Like, you can't expect a group of people like that to be politically organized. They can't even organize their own household. You got kids over here, kids over there. Like, I don't, like, the state's feeding your family.
Yeah, I have nothing to say on that.
Well, this just goes to show you just how deep these rabbit holes run. And the fact is, it's all tied together.
So ask your audience, anybody got any solutions?
Vote. Vote. But see, we got to all be on the same page. You got so many people. Well, but see, that's the whole problem. Are you trying to tell me
like,
that in America, out of all of the people in this country, white and black, Mexican, whatever, that these people that we've been voting for the last 20 years is the best we got? No, hell no. I know better than that. I know some brilliant people.
We got some good.
This is where community, like, there has to, you know, I guess the community organizing has to start. It's like, okay, we know somebody at the church. This person would make a good political office. Let us go fund me like we do for funerals for this person's political campaign. I'm not trying to be. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's
I've seen people contribute to a funeral before they will somebody's college tuition. So
they'll contribute to bail.
Right.
They will contribute to. They will pay for lawyers. They'll pay for everything before they. And you know, and we're in a place where, like, as a community, black Americans are losing political representation. Like, we're getting pushed further down the line. And then I don't want to hear about this 20 years from now. Like, how did this happen? And, you know, Maxine Waters and Clyde Moore will still be sitting up there eating their little buttered biscuits covered in crumbs. And, you know, the community will be in the favela. I mean, most of us are not living good as it is to begin with. I mean, South Side Chicago is basically favela. Like, when your whole community is poor and there's trash thrown around all over the place, and it used to look nice.
Yeah.
You know, they unleashed a bunch of demons on the community. I mean, to destabilize what used to be a fairly nice working class, middle class black neighborhood.
Chicago's still not in the top 10 of crime.
No, it's not. But
St. Louis, I think, is number 1.
That doesn't
leave my city alone, just a little bit.
No, we can move on. Let's talk about Memphis. Memphis, the majority black city, in shambles, and it's majority black American too. Like, who else you gonna blame there?
Memphis is bad. Memphis crime might be higher than Chicago's.
Birmingham,
you can actually look.
Jackson.
You can even go as far as Atlanta. Now, hell, they shooting in Buckhead.
And see, now you have to look at, like, the community's failure to have families, to raise their sons. These are the consequences that we all have to deal with. It's destabilized everything. Like, this was people y'all's age, people my age are repeating the cycle. I have no idea why.
My generation definitely dropped the ball on a bunch of stuff.
They was twerking at the Freaknik. They were smoking crack rocks. They were having children all over the place. No condoms in sight. I don't know why, because it was an AIDS pandemic. So that's really. I don't understand that one. Like, I don't. that one blows my mind. But, like,
y'all see why I had these young people on my show.
So it's like all this was going on, and then people my age who I know raised in 2-parent households, like, you know what we should do? We should continue Blackistani behavior. Let us go spread our seed between 3 homes. And not raise any of our kids. And unfortunately for male children, the statistics show they need men in the house. They do worse in school because they need a foot in their behind at all times. They need someone, to guide them and give them emotional support, like a man that they can look up to. And when they do not have that, when you have generations of single mothers, no, not even grandfathers or uncles to like come and help out, like those little boys are suffering. Like what we are watching is a mental and emotional degradation of these people, like of these boys, and now they're out 13 robbing people and shooting folks. And please believe there will be consequences, because no matter what, people are always happy to blame the Black American community. They could come from a war-torn, trifling country where everybody is lying, scamming, cheating, raping, and robbing, and they will come here and act like they are upstanding citizens of the world and that they have never done anything bad. And we know the white America, or the racists among them, are always happy to blame Negroes for anything. They could literally be getting pickpocketed by a meth head, and they will be like, an N-word did this to me. So, you know, they will all like get on code against us. Now, I don't know, politically, they will all move against us. So it's like we're in a dangerous position. We have like a destabilized community. We're getting moved down the ladder of representation by other people of color who, you know, that they lump in with us and have nothing to do with us. Like, we're going to basically be like the people on the reservations.
Well, we know it can happen. It happened to them.
Yeah. Like, they are still...
If anybody's been on the reservations, they still in bad shape.
And really, our hoods are reservations. When you aren't allowed to leave, everybody's drunk, smoking drugs, like doing drugs. Like, the hoods are reservations. Like, the inner city has been reservations for Black people.
I never looked at it that way.
Neither did I.
That is what it is.
Perspective, boy, I tell you. Perspective is everything.
We need a young black man to come over here and talk too. That would be great to hear their opinion.
Yes, because we can't hear from me every week.
But you know, but now to her point, and I hate to, I really, 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 it pains me that it's, well, and it could possibly be our environment as well, but it pains me that we do not have enough young Black males with the proper perspective to be able to easily find somebody that will come in here and sit down and add to these conversations.
If y'all have some nephews, cousins.
Listen.
You know, I'm saying the people, our audience, y'all, they must know somebody.
Well, I mean, you know, yeah, I don't even know what to say about that, because I mean, as a Black man who has done what he was supposed to do in raising his children, I unfortunately am and have been knowing with the people that I've had around me with children, they've had other challenges, and it's just I can probably count on one hand the people who I know that are couples that raise their children to be men or to be women to completion, if you will, in a dual parented household. And even some of the ones who came from single households, because that's not to negate the mothers who did, or the fathers who put in the work. But being honest, most of the people that I know in those positions, in those single parent homes, children either are on some type of drug, been to penitentiary, been to jail, and the list of the stereotypical predicaments are long but prevalent. What do you do or say about that? Like, how do you, as a father to two daughters who, you know, I want to see one day, I mean, I'd like to have grandkids one day, but I know my children also are not going to just accept anything, you know, so that's a struggle. What do you do? What do we do? Tell us what to do, Tatum.
Oh no. I mean,
if you knew, you'd be married and have children by now, right?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. But that's just because because I could have did that already, and I haven't got around to it. So,
right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we've gone down another rabbit hole. Y'all know how that happens. Anyway, the point here tonight, y'all, is
get politically involved.
Get politically involved. Pay attention to who your people are. Be prepared to vote in the midterm elections, and do as much as you possibly can to keep those who would rather see you poor or in chains out of office. Whoever that is you think it may be. Because you have a group of people who believe that they're being oppressed, although they have been the oppressors since the beginning of this country. And they feel like they're losing their ground, they're losing their grip and their supremacy. It is in your best interest to make sure that those people are not in the position to continue making laws to further oppress you and create voter suppression.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for coming and hanging out and talking with us. I think I got depressed on this show. I'm going to go.
Well, there's cookies downstairs.
We got cookies? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
That'll fix
cookies.
everything. I got cookies. I'll be okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, please vote. Please be prepared.
And educate yourself about who you're voting for. Don't
please educate yourself
know
about who you vote for.
Or whoever you're reelecting.
And notice, and I said this at the top of the show, be mindful. I did this show prior to all of these candidates putting their hats in the ring because I want people to understand that voting is far more important than who is in the race. The reasons for voting and the necessity to vote. There are you must pay attention. It is critical at this point, especially. It's necessary. Do not let what we're going through now be reminiscent, indicative of where we have been in the past in regard to Reconstruction and our lack of rights to vote based on violence and oppression. If we're not very, very careful, and a lot of people will sit there and go, it'll never happen, we're going to end up right back there.
We on a slippery slope.
We're on a very slippery slope.
Our foot is on a banana peel.
We got one foot out the door and another one on a banana peel. That's right, Tatum. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want everybody to have yourselves a wonderful night. Have a great weekend. Stay warm because this weather is about to kick butt.
The people in Chicago are already suffering.
Chicago, man, y'all definitely stay warm and try to stay out from under a pile of snow because I see it's throwing down over there. They say there's 200 and some snow trucks, plows on the street, and they can't even tell where they're at.
Lori, she out of there.
Yeah, Lori.
They did plow Lakeshore Drive or something, so you know how they feel about that.
Yeah.
They
No,
about to
that not plowing the snow in Chicago is a death sentence to any politician. I remember.
That's off topic, Lord.
Oh boy, she gone. She done.
Oh yeah.
You got to clean the snow in Chicago.
She's been beefing with the teachers and
Oh,
plow the streets.
Yeah,
She's beefing with the police department.
Old Larry Lightfoot. She on her way out of here. So see, you done went down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, we'll have to have a part 2. We'll come back.
We always have to have a part 2. It's always
I know we never do. We go to the next topic.
Right. On to the next one. So yeah, y'all stay warm out there. We're gonna have a little bad weather down here in Texas. Hopefully they're gonna keep the lights and the water on this time. And Ted Cruz don't fly to Cancun while the rest of us suffer.
Yes.
Mr.
Think
black people on the Supreme Court is disgusting or something.
He disgusts me with his abandon of his posts.
You're right.
A coward.
Yeah, among other things.
Yes.
Ugh.
We're keeping it cute.
We can't wait to vote you out. Stay tuned.
We're gonna try real hard.
Oh,
We're trying to get them all about it.
Oh yeah. No doubt. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all. We are about to partake in some libations and dining. It's time to eat.
Yes, let's rock and roll.
Peace out, y'all.